Hello, and welcome to the And Then Write podcast. I'm your host, Stacy Walsh, and this is episode 23, Writing Through Uncertainty, or Not. Thank you for joining me again. Well, where to start, huh? I thought about not commenting on the current state of affairs, of having this be a time of escape for writers, of trying to focus on something else entirely. And I tried to work on something that would allow for that, but I've been having a really hard time focusing lately, and I couldn't get my mind to settle anywhere else than on our current reality. And so here we are. I am still going to talk about writing, just so you know, but first I wanted to take a minute and just say, this fucking sucks. For everyone, for sometimes similar and sometimes vastly different reasons. I know so many people with unstable work conditions. I have friends with businesses that are doubtful they'll be able to survive this. I have immunocompromised friends and family who are terrified they are going to get this and fear that older loved ones are going to get this. And on and on. Then I see memes about how we need to take advantage of this extra time and write, and it's hard not to have a better response to that, at least at the moment, because so far, for me at least, there is no extra time anywhere. I have kids home 24/7. I have a spouse who, until last week, had been out of town for work for pretty much the whole last month. I have to work. I have to care for the kids. I'm attempting to homeschool them, and not very successfully, I have to say. But let's be honest, they aren't going back to school this year, even though Michigan has yet to officially announce that. And then in the midst of all that, I am trying to find some time and space for myself so I don't lose it. And it seems a little trivial to complain about canceled plans, but I did have three writing-related events planned for March and April. Glennon Doyle, whose new book, Untamed, just came out, was going to stop in Chicago mid-March as part of her book tour, and I had bought a ticket last November and planned a family trip to Chicago around it. Canceled, of course. I had organized a writing retreat for my writing group for the weekend after that, something we were all desperately looking forward to. A full weekend to write and nothing else. Canceled. And then there was the Faith of Festival in Writing, which is a biannual event at Calvin College in Grand Rapids that was going to take place mid-April. An event my entire writing group had signed up for, with the goal that each of us was going to pitch our manuscript to an agent and have a book proposal complete in time for the event. Postponed for a year. And I'm not saying this to whine, and again, bigger problems out there than this, but I do want to take a moment and acknowledge that it is a rare time in my life when I have three writing-related events I'm so geeked about, all taking place within a month of each other. Even if I had three writing events like that lined up for the year, that would still be a pretty big deal for me. So to see them all disappear within 2 weeks was pretty crushing for my creative spirit, to say the least. And here's the thing, I don't think we should minimize our disappointment or our grief over the things we're losing right now, because we're all losing something, some of us many things. Many things we tend to take for granted on a day-to-day basis. The things we assume will always be there. The places we can always go, the people we can always see and hug. I'm a hugger. You've been warned. This has been really tough for me. The favorite meal we can always go enjoy. The last 2 weeks, in our house at least, have been a total shit show. My kids are having a difficult time grasping the situation, understandably, and they have a lot of fear and anxiety that people they love could get this, that they can't go back to school. And then there's just this restlessness around being home most of the time. And naturally, sibling tensions start to rise. And that's just them. I've been trying, without luck, to grasp towards something resembling normalcy. All of my usual routines have flown out the window, and even when I have moments where I could return to them, I find myself wandering around the house in an aimless fog. My focus shot. This was really frustrating me until I said, fuck it. And I actually said that to my kids a little over a week ago. I'd been trying each day to rally myself to get us all on track, to make a schedule, and I just couldn't do it. So I said, fuck this week. And of course, they giggled the way they do when I drop a particularly bad swear, as they call it. And yes, this happens at our house on a somewhat regular basis. But once I gave in and stopped trying to force myself to pretend things were normal, that they could be normal, I did feel some relief. There is nothing normal about any of this. We don't know what's going to happen on a daily basis. It opened my eyes to my real frustration in all of this. We don't know how long this is going to go on for. That is where my mind goes off the rails. When I thought initially that we might be holed up at home for 3 or 4 weeks, I had a brief, oh shit moment, but then I thought, okay, 3 or 4 weeks, tough but doable. It could be worse. There was an end in sight, and sometimes that's all I need, something to focus on, a finish line. But then things kept getting worse, and estimations kept getting kicked out, and it became apparent quickly that we are talking about much more than 3 to 4 weeks. We don't know how long. No one can give me an end date, and that's what I want. I want to know when we can be done with this, when we can return to regularly scheduled programming. But even that feels like a dream lately, because we aren't going to return to normal, at least not the way we were used to it before. So we are all collectively having to make these huge shifts together. It's a lot. So then when I see these memes about all this extra writing time, or hey, now you can finish that manuscript you've been putting off, or hey, you better get something productive done with all this extra time, well, I feel really, really annoyed. Because how do I do all this shifting and changing and figuring out and planning for the future when I have no idea what that's even going to look like day to day? How do I settle my crazy busy brain enough to get back down to the work? At first, I just gave a bitter snort and said, well, those people must not have kids at home. They must be fending for themselves. And that sounded both magical and lonely all in the same instant. The thing is, people will get writing done, and honestly, I'm grateful for that. I'm going to need those words. We're all going to need those words because the film industry isn't going to be cranking out any new TV shows or films for a good long stretch. We won't be able to go to any concerts or plays or sporting events for a while. So what are we going to have? Books. Stories. We need writers now, and I want to be among the people writing. And I feel like I'm slowly getting there. My husband is home now, thankfully, so the household duties are not all on me. The kids can harass him now too, so I'm not getting the brunt of it. And even though nothing about this feels normal, we are starting to settle into a rhythm, however uneven it might be. I am starting to block out time again to write, and sometimes this has meant not writing, but sitting quietly thinking about writing, or writing about what's going on rather than working on my manuscript, or reading other people's writing. But I am slowly inching back to that space of creating, of it being a possibility, which in and of itself is a relief, because for a little while it disappeared. And so I'm going to try a new thing for April. It's not a writing challenge because we don't need any more challenges at the moment, and I could give a rip about productivity. It's more of an invitation to make space for creating this month, of tending to your creativity, really, of finding our way back to our passions. Maybe for some of you, it never left. Maybe this uncertain time drove you straight to it, and you've been writing or painting or sewing or cooking your ass off. And all I can say is bravo to you, my friend. But if you're like me, maybe you've been fumbling a bit, struggling to focus, wondering how creativity is supposed to fit into this ever-changing situation we found ourselves in. Maybe you need some grounding. I've had an account on Teachable for some time. I have various 3 and 5 day writing challenges I want to offer at some point, some course outlines sitting on my desk, things I will get to one day, and I will. But this is different. I'm not offering a course. I'm offering a space to show up and connect with your writer self. It's a 30-day offering, free of charge. I'm developing it as I go, so I can't even really tell you what it will be about in its entirety at this point. What I do know is this. Some days it might be a writing prompt or reflection. Some days it might be me reading a writing-related passage from a book I love, something meant to inspire. Some days it might be me sharing a particular writing challenge or success I've encountered during the month. I'm hoping to share things I see other creatives doing during this time that serve to inspire others too. So if you feel like you want to get back to that creative space in your life, however you can show up given your current circumstances, please join me. There are no expectations of time or effort. Show up as much or as little as you'd like. But just know I'm going to be over here doing my thing and sharing that process with you. I'm craving connection in whatever form that can take right now. So I'm trying to get creative with it and see what emerges. Because the truth is, beautiful things are going to emerge from this time. So let's try to stay awake to that possibility and to the creativity that is still coursing through us, however muted it might feel these days. So now it's your turn. This month, I offer a space to show up and simply be. If you'd like to participate in the offering I just described, please visit andthenwrite.com for details on how to sign up. In the meantime, I'd love to hear from you. How are you navigating this time? Are you showing up to write? What is getting you to the page? If you're not writing, what practices have you found to be soothing? If you're comfortable sharing your responses with the group, head on over to the Facebook page, And Then Write, and give it a follow. If you'd rather message me directly, feel free to email me at andthenwrite@gmail.com. To listen to previous podcast episodes or to sign up for my newsletter, please visit andthenwrite.com. Thank you for listening today. I hope you'll join me again in a few weeks for episode 24.